the biggest gift you can get on TikTok, I got like at least 10 in one night.
Whoa.
Like at least 10, maybe 12.
Is that a universe? That's what I hear everyone talking about.
I got
universes.
5 universes in one battle. Back to back, boom, 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 like boom, boom, boom. And like I got like 12.
And so do those universes or any of the other gifts translate to like real life money? You know, this might be my most controversial opinion I've given to date.
No one cares. It's not the number one podcast. Keep saying we're on a mission. You only got 60 views in 2 days.
3, 2, 1. Bang, welcome back to HEMPCANN Labs, a proud sponsor of LUCA's podcast. These guys have an entire range of CBD oils, gummies, and vapes for you smokers out there that specifically is designed to provide you with high quality CBD. So whether you're trying to deal with stress, anxiety, muscle recovery, or you just enjoy that relaxation effect that comes with CBD. I use it personally before every podcast. It helps deal with all the stress and anxiety that comes in with recording these episodes. And if you use promo code LUCA, you're going to get 15% off your next purchase. Check out their website. The link will be in the bio, in the description, wherever you're watching this, you will be able to find it. Thank you, and back to the program. Bang, welcome back to the #1 podcast in the motherfucking world. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. And you're probably wondering right now, why is there a black screen? Why can't I say anything? Well, that's because I want you to have a long, hard look in the mirror right now. You see that reflection that's gazing at you? That's the reflection of someone who hasn't subscribed. Can you imagine how horrible that feels right now? I mean, if you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Just do it. We're the strongest podcast family in the world. And I'm super excited today to announce that we are joined here today with Soraya. Soraya, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
It is, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I mean, we've had a bit of back and forth online, and we actually recorded one of these episodes previously.
Yeah.
But the dynamic of your life just changed so quickly. We had to get back in there straight away.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
So just as a bit of a preface, you've got an amazing audience of people that really love to support you. You're very well known for being on TikTok live and doing these ridiculous like 8-hour marathons on there.
Yeah.
But beyond that, you've modeled, you're currently in the fight game, training over at Australian top team, and you're looking to make your pro debut. Does that cover everything?
It's an amateur fight, not a pro debut.
Apologies, I said pro debut.
Yeah. I wish. It sounds cool, but
just rolls off the tongue so sweetly, doesn't it?
Just keep it for next time, like in a year or two.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, they don't have to know it's amateur.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, thank you. Honestly, thank you for coming on. It's how are you feeling? I noticed that recently you've been kind of inducted into the Australian top team family. You got your first batch of cauliflower ear.
Yeah.
How was that?
Yeah. So originally my fight was obviously meant to be a TikTok fight, and I obviously didn't get my opponents. My opponents pulled out or whatever. And then funnily enough, I actually like walked into the gym and everyone looked so happy, and they've walked up and they're like, we got you an opponent. And I was all like stoked, but at the same time, it was sad because I didn't have that like excitement, because I was just like, oh, she's probably just going to pull out. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have that. I was like, I even said like, I don't want to get excited because I don't know how this is going to go. So I like was like, yeah, cool. Like I didn't even initially, I think, ask who it was, because I was just like, you know, but then once.
Just where do I sign?
I swear. And then once they did the poster, they were like, go look at the poster. And I went and looked at the poster, and I looked down at the little tick thing, because they've got pro, amateur, or a TikTok fight, right? And they tick it, and you've got like your photos. Anyways, I looked down and they ticked amateur. I was like, like it was meant to be TikTok, you know? It made me so happy.
Why don't we just preface this a little bit for the people who maybe not be aware of what's kind of going on in the TikTok scene right now. So Urban Fight Night, which is this organization that is well known for putting together amateur and pro fighters and providing almost a springboard for Australian talent to get into the next levels of their MMA career. It's a great way of getting exposure. It's a great way of getting heaps of fights and cage time, and it's been very fundamental for Sydney fighters to have a platform like Urban Fight Night to be able to do so. And what we've seen recently is that they've pivoted towards including entertainers, which is where you step in, right? Because you've amassed this massive TikTok following. You've got eyeballs on you at all the time, and Urban Fight Now have reached out and said, Soraya, we want you on our card. Yeah. We want you to fight. Yeah. So when you first got that phone call and they're like, hey, we want you on, or I imagine it probably went down on TikTok Live, right? Yeah, yeah. When they first hit you up and said, hey, we want you to fight on this card, what was your immediate reaction? Where were you? It was just like, in my head at the time, it wasn't so serious. Like I was just like, yeah, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think like anything past that, you know what I mean? I just thought a fun TikTok fight. Like I didn't picture myself loving it so much, you know what I mean? And it becoming a part of my life. I didn't expect that. Yeah. And I think it's going to be a bit trickier for people to understand why you were so drawn to it straight away. Because for most people, the last thing that they want to do in the world is fight someone, is to go fist for fist and just trade exchanges. I mean, there's obviously maniacs out there that are into that, but for most people, and pardon my old school mentality, but particularly for girls, it's not a common thing that you see. Yeah, of course. To initially even just say yes to jump in, it's just like crazy. Yes. Yeah. So why were you so compelled to do so? Well, my whole family are boxers. Like my granddad's on the Boxing Hall of Fame. My great uncle is. Then my brother's a former professional boxer. Like everyone fights. And not only that, but I was also in New Zealand. My ex is a fighter as well. So like I lived and breathed boxing since I was little, all the way up until I come to Sydney and was just on TikTok. So it was like normal to me. Do you know what I mean? So you obviously were very exposed to those kinds of grounds of violence, and you were exposed to just the atmosphere that is a fight. I mean, if I have it correct, was it your father or your grandfather that was setting up tents around in so Queensland? It started it started with my granddad. He used to travel with the tent. So he used to travel with the tent and fight, and then he'd go and have his like pro fights, blah blah blah. And then it just went down in generation: granddad, my dad, my brother, and then finally me. And so what was the tent like? What was the dynamic of the tent? What would happen? So when I was little, we used to travel with the tent all around Queensland, usually in like the Tablelands, the Northern Territory, that sort of area. And just from memory, like I just remember like sleeping in a little swag in the tent, and all the fighters would put the tent up, and the referee owned the tent. His name's Fred. And he would just get up. I'd watch them all wrap their hands, blah, blah, put their big gold robes on, and then they'd hear the drum. And then they would just all walk out. And I remember I would be sitting on the little haystack, or on the ground, waiting for them all to come in. And then they'd just punch on all night. And I'd go for like 5 nights. Wow. My brother was like this little. Like he was probably like 8 when he first started. Yeah, they used to throw a towel, because he was so young, to make money from fighting, that they used to throw a towel at the end of his fights, and people would throw money into the towel, like from the crowd, and then at the end the kids would split it. This sounds like a brilliant script for a movie. Like if you're pitching me this to Hollywood, I'd be like, oh my God, yes, I can see it. Like it's so They honest. Should actually. They should make it. Fred Brophy's tent, a movie, yeah. That would be amazing. And the characters, the fighters, like he's passed away now, Cowboy, just him alone, he was handsome. He had a cowboy hat and nothing but boxing trousers on. The women used to go mad for him. I swear. Like so many different characters, and they'd all had their names. Like Fred would name them all different names. Like my dad was the friendly mauler, because he was so happy, and he was so like, didn't look like he would want to fight, and then he would just maul them. You know what I mean? So Fred always come up with the coolest names. Yes, yes. There's so much like culture and honesty that's kind of embedded in that. So was that kind of your first time stepping into a cage or a ring? Yeah? Yeah. So you had plenty of opportunities then, I take it, to kind of go and fight in the tent and... Well, when I was a kid, I used to cry to my mum and say, why can't I fight tonight? Why can't I fight? And blah, blah, blah. And my mum used to be like, you're a girl. You can't fight in the tent. Blah, blah, blah. So when I finally said to her like 2 months ago when I fought in the tent, I said, Mum, you may as well let me fight, because I'm fighting in Sydney anyway. So like for the expansion, like for the entire period of your childhood, you weren't allowed to fight?
I was not allowed to, no.
Damn.
I know, it killed me.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And it made me want it more. Maybe if I was allowed to, I probably wouldn't have wanted it so much now. So I guess that's the...
All right, guys, we need to stop for a second because I want to ask you something. Do you know what the number one regret is for a human being? It's not betting on themselves. It's not taking a chance, and it's not chasing that dream that you often see discussed on this show. And do you know what the number one reason as to why people don't do that? It's because of money. But if there's anything I want you to take away from this podcast, it's that you can go and chase your dreams. You can travel the world. You can start the next Fortune 500 company. That's why I'm super excited to announce that I've partnered with Monarch Financial Group. Monarch Financial Group are a team of mortgage brokers who are absolutely committed to making sure you get access to the money that you need and the education that you need. They've got teams of mortgage brokers with over 10 years of industry experience. And that experience goes towards fighting tooth and nail to make sure that you get the best deal possible. So it's time to stop procrastinating on that dream. It's time to go to monarchfinancialgroup.com.au. Make sure to mention LUCA's podcast in the process. That's, I think, having that like constraint of your parents almost, and they obviously had very good intentions in doing so, right? They just didn't want to see their daughter to get hurt.
Yeah.
But I think oftentimes when you don't give children that ability to freely express themselves in any way that they do see desire, that they're just going to find avenues to expand that. Like, I don't know what your childhood was like, but I imagine you would have been a lot faster to violence, or you would have been a lot more comfortable in violence. Like, did you get into fights as a kid in school?
Yeah, well, my hometown's known for fighting. Like, you go out in Townsville and they'll say, where are you from? And you go, Mount Isa, and they go, oh. Yeah, and look at Townsville. You know what I mean? So, like, Mount Isa is known, like, everyone loves to fight there. But in a way, it's a good thing because they shake hands after and they leave it be. You know what I mean? So, like, my hometown's, pretty rough. And people love to fight, and the girls punch on just as much as the guys. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you get into any trouble out there?
Yes. So I have said before, like, that my mum probably doesn't want me to say it, like some of the experiences I've had. But I actually have said to her, what makes you think that telling me to defend myself and fight these girls was going to make me not ever fight? Like, that was kind of paving the way to put me into this, where I could walk into the ring being like, I've done this before. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, like, one of them, probably the most talked about ones that people talk about to this day, like in my hometown, like a history books, like a tale when they're all drunk, they talk about it. I'm not even joking. And some of them talk as if they were there. Was when I, like, now pink is still my favorite color, but back then I actually stopped wearing pink because of it, because I used to just get picked, you know what I mean? But I had like this full pink outfit on with a skirt. I don't know who I thought I was, because I'm in like a small country town and I'm just overdressed, you know? And anyway, I've just had like a group of girls come in, and like they're rough as guts girls too, and they're known for being rough as guts, and they were like, you know, like, who do you think you are? Like, blah, 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 like, come outside. And I called mum and was like, Mum, I can't do anything. She was like, why aren't you outside fighting them? And I was like, I can't, I'm wearing a skirt. And then she's like, drove down to McDonald's. She's like, wait there. She's come down with shorts and made me put them on in the car. And these girls are all standing there like, and then they're like, I was like, well, hold on. Put the shorts on. And she's like, hurry up. So the girls would have been like, yeah, I'm rough as guts. This girl looks really easy target, but she just jumped in that car and put shorts on. I think I'm going to have a tough ride.
See, most people call their parents and go, I'm in trouble. You need to get me out of here. And your mum was like, here, take the pair of shorts and show them what you're made of. Yeah. That's brilliant.
I think it's because when you're in a small town, you kind of have to prove yourself, because you'll just get bashed all the time if you don't. You know what I mean? Especially like for myself. And because I come from such a strong family that are known for never backing down and being some of the strongest people, like having me then be like a pussy was like, you know what I mean? I couldn't.
Do you think you've had to struggle with that misconception of yourself, you know, beyond just that small town? I mean, it's probably very easy to see someone who is attractive and who has a large Instagram and TikTok following and spends a lot of time streaming. It might be very easy for someone to disregard you and say, oh, she's just a TikToker. Like, what is she doing stepping in the cage? I imagine you get a lot of that feedback.
I have like mixed emotions about it because on one side, I feel like so determined to have to prove myself. Like I want them to know that I belong here sort of thing, and that I've got just as much guts, and you know, I'm not just like this girl that's like a pretty face on TikTok. You know what I mean? I want to prove myself. But then the other side of me is like so happy that I'm an underdog and that people think I couldn't hurt a fly, and that's why I've got picked my whole life, because that's what I look like. So it's like, you know what I mean? Kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing.
Yeah. It must be frustrating though.
Oh yeah, it's frustrating, but it gives me the drive to push harder. Makes me work harder.
So what is your kind of work schedule now? Like how are you balancing the demand that social media and being an online creator takes with literally going and getting prepared for a fight camp on, what is it now, like 3-4 weeks notice perhaps?
Well, I did train for the last, I think it's almost 3 months now, and it was so hard at first. At first, like everything on TikTok was down because I wasn't able to go on as much, because I was like I was leaving my house at 2 p.m. and getting home at like 9:30 p.m.
Jeez.
Yeah, I still to this day. Yeah, I do like 3 classes back to back, like and pads and stuff like that. Like I'll go for runs. Like I try and do everything, you know what I mean? Like every day, in and out. So it was hard for me at first. My body ached. I was so tired. And I never trained before that for like 2 years. I had no motivation. I was just always on TikTok. So my body, the first 2 weeks was aching. It's still sore, but not like that.
Just the shell shock of trying to snap back into a routine.
Yeah.
Like for most people, just getting into a gym and being able to do an hour of your weightlifting or cardio or whatever the apparatus is, just snapping back into that routine takes 2 or 3 weeks. So to go from 3 classes a day, which mind you is at Australian top team, the like pillar of brutal MMA gyms where they do not take any prisoners. Everyone's there to scrap and go to war.
And
like,
sparring straight the first week.
Yeah.
Like I went into sparring. Like I've maybe missed 2 sparring sessions like on a Saturday because I'm so determined. I feel like when I miss one, like in my head, I'm like, I don't know. It's like every day counts in my head. Every day. If I miss like, or I half-ass one thing, I think about it. You know what I mean?
How long did it take for you to kind of go, I've got my rhythm here? Like I'm progressing and I'm feeling fitter.
I think it was 8 weeks it took me to actually get comfortable with that routine, being in the gym and then being able to go back on TikTok. So I ended up saying to because I lost like gifters. They said to me, I can't be gifting you and getting you in the rankings if you're not staying on to stay in the rankings. And I was like, I understand, like I haven't got the time. So then 2 weeks ago, I said on my live, this week I'm going to prove to you, now that I'm comfortable at the gym and everything, that I can be on. And I'm going to stay on all week. I don't expect to be in the rankings. I'm going to try, but I just want to prove to you that I can stay on all night. So for a week straight, I stayed on until 4 a.m. every night, and went to bed and woke up and went straight to gym. And I did that for the whole week. And then I said to them the Monday that come, I said, now I'm going to try for the rankings. I want to go back in. I just want to be top 50. Boom. They made me top 20 like the first 2 nights.
So you're going to have to break this down for me because I may be 22 years old, but I'm also 80 years old. And I think for a lot of people at home, particularly people that watch this show, I don't think they're as, I mean, I don't want to assume, but I think for a lot of people, they aren't as savvy when it comes to TikTok lives and rankings. I mean, I've seen snippets of it and I've watched you live and a couple of the other boys from the gym live, but I don't necessarily understand how it works. So can you break down, like, how does TikTok live work? How are you making money from it? How do you get into the rankings?
Okay, so I originally had no idea either. I didn't even have Instagram when I started TikTok. Like, I had deleted my Instagram. So I had no social media for a year. And then I got TikTok in January just for fun. And I like maybe posted like a handful of videos, like 3 or 4, I don't know. And like maybe 2 of them went like a little bit like a lot of views, you know? And I was like, oh, this is cool. but I didn't think much of it. And anyways, I'm playing Fortnite and I was so bored. There was no one on and I wanted to squad up with people. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it like on TikTok live. You know, they like live stream, but I didn't know how to live stream that stuff. So I was like, I'll just do it on TikTok. So I went live and I just wrote like squad up with me. And then like randoms were coming through and was just adding everyone. We were all playing Fortnite. That's how it started.
Right.
And then that was only for like a week. I was just going on live being like, hey, to the people I was playing with. And then a top gifter from TikTok, which is what we call them, which I'll get to, started writing on my live and people were freaking out. And he was like, do you want to be top one in Australia? And I was like, what the hell is that? Like, what do you mean? And they were like all laughing. And he was like, there's a ranking and you like can either battle people, but it's like it goes on points and you can be number one, but you'd have to just have someone like send you these like animated gifts like off the casino when you're playing the pokies, like you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't really want to be. I was really intimidated by it because I had seen.
So this
prior.
person's openly telling you like, oh, I have the ability right
make
now
you.
to make you one of the top streamers, if not the top streamer in Australia.
Yeah.
How do you process
And he did because
that?
he's a well-known top gifter that has made a lot of people top one.
Right.
Yeah. And I was so confused. I didn't know what a battle was. I didn't know that that's what they were doing when they were jumping on, arguing with each other and stuff. I was like, that's what they're doing? You know what I mean? I had no idea that there was points on the sides that you fight against, you know what I mean, to have the most. So it's basically like real life gambling on people.
I see. I see.
And you have your whole team. So you build a whole team on your side and like you just entertain them and they believe in you and they want you to be number one. You know what I mean? Or at least top 100.
I see. So you're creating like an active audience that's there to support you and push you forward.
Yeah.
And get you into the rankings per se. And
Yeah.
so the higher you get into the rankings, the more people that come into your community and thus the process repeats.
Yeah.
I see. Mm-hmm. So this gifter, does he have a name? Does he have a username?
Yes. Ali Sydney.
Ali Sydney.
Yeah.
So Ali Sydney comes to you and says, you know what? You know what? I like what you're doing. I like that you're keeping it organic and real and you're just using this to play Fortnite with your friends, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's get you higher up in the rankings.
Yeah. He basically said, I've watched you for a little bit, like in the background just to see what you were like and you deserve to be in the rankings. I'm sick of seeing all the drama of people fighting and arguing. You're such a positive person. We need more people like you in the rankings.
There is a lot of arguing in the rankings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen clips of certain creators. It's just like waving guns and dead-ass racism.
And you know what? Like a lot of people from different countries are starting to think Australians are just dead set crazy because of TikTok Live.
I don't blame them.
Like,
our TikTok Live is fucking nuts.
I've seen it everywhere now. People from different countries going, Australians are wild.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're not all like that, I promise. Like I've never been banned. I don't want to jinx myself, but I've been on the platform since January and I've been in the rankings since January. Like I've never been banned. I've had the one account. I've never had a backup account. I've never jumped on and had an argument. But some people stage it for more views and then others do it because they're actually genuinely angry. And then some just kind of like, I don't know, egg it on or like drag it out because they get more gifts because it's entertaining.
Yeah, my perspective on it's really, cutthroat. It's there are a large range of ways of garnering a lot of tension very quickly. Mm-hmm. You can be very obnoxious and very loud. You can be hateful. You can have an extremely positive message. Mm-hmm. You can just capture one viral moment and spread, wildfire across. Mm-hmm. But ultimately what people are going to remember you for is what you're communicating. What's the underlying message? What are you amplifying? What do you stand for?
Yeah.
And when you have the ability to amplify the best parts of either yourself or an idea that you believe in or even just something that you're perceiving outside in the world, you are going to have so much more impact on people, and that's what creates long-term creators. When you've got people like Mons going out there and just screaming and waving guns and calling people, not going to say it, but calling people certain words, it is it's confronting, and you go, that's your legacy. That's what people are going to remember you for.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm really big on like, yeah, money's great, but your legacy is a lot more. And I'm not going to be remembered for something like that. You know what I mean?
How did you react once that first kind of shockwave hit in? You got bumped up. What did you get gifted?
I got babied by everyone because back then it was like just the OG TikTokers and no one knew you could make money off of it. There was no new people. I was like the newbie, like the fresh TikToker that come on to the rankings. And it was like this massive gifter that they all knew that put me in, you know what I mean? So I got a lot of hate from a lot of TikTokers like initially because they were like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And everyone was like babying me into it, you know what I mean? And like,
so what did you get gifted that put you up so far?
I like one of the biggest gift you can get on TikTok, I got like at least 10 in one night.
Whoa.
Like at least 10, maybe 12.
Is that a universe?
Yeah.
That's what I hear everyone talking about.
I got
universes.
5 universes in one battle. Back to back, boom, 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 like boom, boom, boom. And like I got like 12.
And so do those universes or any of the other gifts translate to like real life money?
Yep. So TikTok takes 70% off Australians. They take 50% off Americans. I don't know how much they take off other countries. So we still make good money, but we would be making a lot more if they weren't taking so much.
Right. And so what does a universe translate to?
So depending where you buy it, you can buy it on like Safari or you can recharge it off of TikTok and it's like 700, like 500 to 700 depending.
500 to 700 Australian. Jesus.
And then you get about 250, I think it is.
Whoa.
Or to 500, 250 to 500 from the big gifts.
So for the average person, a universe almost resembles like a full days of work.
Yeah.
Just one of those.
Yeah. That's why people go, whoa, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, this Ali Sydney guy really wanted to put you in the rankings.
Yeah.
Huh?
And there's a lot of them. Like there's so many people. Like I've had people like come and go. Like they end up finding another team and you know what I mean? Then you have like someone else come through that's maybe got a business that they want you to shout out and they gift you, you know what I mean? Like big shout out to Brothers Global, which is an apparel from Melbourne. And they're like one of my biggest gifters right now. So it's just...
Big shout out to them.
Yeah.
Does there come a point where you feel like the act of going on live is almost like a creator kind of just saying, you know, with a bucket around the audience? Do you feel like going live almost is portrayed as being, hey, give me money, give me attention, give me money, give me attention?
So there are like some people will come in and be like, oh, I hate how this TikToker asks, or they'll be like, I gifted you because you don't ask for it. But there's this really fine line because it's like, I don't like asking. I don't like sharing it. I don't like trying to get big battles set to make people come in to do it. But the weird thing is like people will hate on you, on people that do that, but they're the ones doing well. So like as much as people say like, oh, like I hate how they do that, they're just asking like blah, blah, blah. But if you don't ask and you just sit there, then like no one does anything. It's weird. Like even gifters have said to me like, why didn't you share the live to me? Or they'll be like, why don't you have a big battle tonight so that we can push you up? Or you know, you need to ask for a rose to, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I feel awkward doing that. And like, how are we going to know you're pushing and that you want to be in the rankings if you don't do it? So it's just weird. Like you don't want to be like needy or like greedy or seem like you're asking and like being like, please help, I'm poor. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if you don't ask it all, no one will come.
Yeah, I think there's this weird dynamic with live streaming in particular, and you see this across Twitch and you see it across now TikTok, but because the business model very much is your audience is giving to you, there is this expectation, this inbuilt expectation that you're going to be entertaining for the set period of time.
And that's why they're doing it. They're like, I believe in you as an entertainer, and we want you in there because we want to see more of you.
And I think where that's unique is that if I'm posting on Instagram or YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any other social media platform, I'm giving them the value first. I'm going, hey, here's this amazing interview that I put together with Soraya. Here, take it. And by the way, if you want to support me so I can keep giving you guys as much value as possible, you can smash the subscribe button. But like that's what it is. When you're creating, you're giving the value first, whereas when you're live streaming, you're almost improvising on how you can provide value and entertainment, and it's the chat that dictates where the content goes.
100%, yeah. But that's how we see it. Like, I know that some people, they consider them haters. That'll be like, oh, they're just ask for money online and blah, blah, blah. But half of those people that say that have tried to go live and no one believed in them. Do you know what I mean? Which I've noticed. I've literally seen people like go live, try and get in the rankings, not be able to get in the rankings, hate on everyone, and then be like, all they do is ask for money. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Like
the people that are in it, that support it, believe in the people as entertainers. They want to see more of them. And that's just what it comes down to.
I see. Do you think that this new audience that you're cultivating through TikTok Live is something that you're going to be able to sustain long term? Because kind of like you were referring back to before, for the past 8 weeks, you hadn't been able to engage as much on TikTok Live because you're going through a fight camp, and the priorities just have to stack up. Number one is fight. I'm putting my life and my health on the risk here. And then the platform which got me there will unfortunately for now have to come second. And that's just the reality of real life, right? There's always going to be fluctuations. There are periods of time where I as a podcaster can go 110%, let's go. And there's other periods of time where I have to kind of put the brakes on it a little bit.
I was actually afraid I was going to fall off. I actually thought that no one's going to like come and support me. But straight away, everyone was there. And if anything, I got even more support. Like I had randoms coming in and sharing love. And I was just like so grateful. I was like, oh my God, guys, thank you for not forgetting about me. They were like, no, like we're so excited for your fight. Like you got this, girl. And I've got like all these like new female followers as well, which is like so cool.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Honestly, it's actually been like really positive. And I think it just, some people just die hard, like will never leave, you know what I mean? And I like honestly so grateful for them. They feel like, even though I've never met them, they're like my friends because they know more about me than my own family because they're with me on live every day since January. You know what I mean?
I mean, a lot must get said when you're streaming for 4 hours a day. Multiple days a week.
They know everything. But you have people come in and out, and like there's always going to be someone new coming in.
Yeah. That's incredible. Do you have... So actually, I think a better question would be, are you at a point now in your TikTok career where you can do that full time and then commit the rest of your time to your training?
Yeah, I'm so lucky, honestly, very lucky to be in the position I am, to be able to just go to training all night, like all day, and go home and just jump on TikTok and just like entertain is so cool, you know, and that's like the life I live, and I'm so grateful for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're literally a creator. You're literally a TikToker.
I'm a TikToker, yeah.
There's no like side hustles. There's no side gigs. Like it's TikTok train, TikTok train, TikTok train. Wow.
Like obviously I want to get sponsors and stuff like that, and you know, eventually get like a business, blah, blah, blah. But that's what I'm doing, yeah.
Wow.
And it gives me that like that time to actually put all my energy into training and fighting.
How are you planning on innovating your content? How are you going to stay on the leading edge and making sure that you're constantly in the rankings?
I think just doing new things, doing things that are like motivating, and like what I'm doing now, it's so different. It's like bringing a different type of audience in, you know what I mean? And more people, because they want to see what's next. And that's so important on like being an entertainer, is what's next, what's new. And that's what this fight and training and all that's doing, you know what I mean? And I've now finally found like that balance where I can go on live all night and then sleep and jump in the gym. So it's a lot easier than it was.
Is there a fan base of Soraya that will live outside of TikTok? Like obviously you have an Instagram page, but do you have ambitions to pursue YouTube? Do you have ambitions to start, you know, maybe more mainstream media? Like where are your ambitions at? Where do you want to take what you've built already?
I do want to do Twitch. I want to, I really want to get good at COD. Like, I've played it a couple of times. It's so much harder than Fortnite. Like, wow. But but it's so much funner. Like they're more serious. But like, I want to do Twitch. I want to game, and then maybe delve into YouTube. I'm not sure yet. Like for now, I'm just like, I was like just trying to get ready for the fight. Then I was like trying to get an opponent. Then I like finally got back on TikTok, and now that I'm like done all that, I'm like, okay, let me just get this fight over with. Then, you know, figure out what I can do, maybe get back in the rankings that week, and then branch maybe to Twitch. Or I'm not really big, like I'm not big on YouTube. Like I need to look more into YouTube, you know.
I hear a lot of, especially girls, I hear a lot of girls say that YouTube is a very male dominated space.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's very, I don't know what it is. I don't know why that platform just tends to draw more males in. It's really interesting how every platform has almost like its own personality, and in order to be a successful creator on each platform, you have to understand the personality and what the people are going there for.
Yeah, exactly. And what would I do on YouTube, you know, because like on TikTok Live, I'm talking to different people, I'm engaging, and that's what I do. And then the only other thing I do is like play the game. You know what I mean? So it's like, and then obviously like training or whatever, but I mean, the only thing I could think of is like, I don't know. Like,
well, I know, like, for example, if you went down, let's just say, I don't know if these names will resonate with you at all, but the PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye, Pokimane, Gideon kind of avenue where you looked at taking the gameplay and maybe giving it more of a comedic twist or adding commentary to it and having it more like a video essay as opposed to just gameplay. I think that generally translates very well across YouTube. And if you've got the point of difference in that you already have an established TikTok audience, then that's going to just push you so much faster than someone who's starting out with nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is YouTube's the mothership. YouTube's the mothership where most
of it all,
people, where everyone builds their online businesses. If not everyone, but 90% of people. Like if you have a strong YouTube audience, you can take that to every other platform.
Yeah.
But it's very harder. It's a lot harder to get someone from Instagram over to TikTok, over to Twitch, over to YouTube. Whereas if someone finds you on YouTube, they're generally there for a while.
Yeah, I do need to get into it, hey.
So let's taper it back into the fight now. So you said that you got the call up, or you got the TikTok live invitation to join the chat room, and then one way or another you end up on this card. But I know that from where you started, like especially with your opponents, to where it is now, the game's changed so much for you. So why don't you talk a little bit about what's going on there?
Do you mean like as in like now that I have an opponent?
Yeah. So the opponent story, like how did you you kind of go through that roller coaster while still training?
Oh man, so like they just said like we'll work our magic, stay ready, basically. And I said to them, I was like, what am I going to do? Like, you know, like now that I have an opponent, and they looked at me and they go, what would you do if you weren't doing this? And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, where would you be if you weren't doing this? And I'm like, at home on TikTok. And they're like, so do you got to be anywhere else? And I was like, nah. And they're like, so you may as well come in.
Right.
And I was like, you know what, you're right. I'm going to keep coming. And I was like, you know what, I love it. It's a part of like my day-to-day routine now. Like I can't get enough of it. So I'm like, I'm just going to keep coming, stay ready. And one day someone's going to come up.
But I do imagine it would have been quite disheartening when you found out that you had been matched up with this opponent. Then bang, it's disappeared from you. And you get matched up with another opponent and bang, it's gone.
Oh, I nearly cried when I found out my opponent pulled out. So originally when I first started, they said, yeah, we've got a girl. She hasn't fought before. She's like been training for like a year or whatever. And she's on TikTok, but she's not a TikToker, whatever. And we were like, cool, we want to do MMA. And then they were like, look, give us 2 weeks to think about it, blah, blah, blah. We went back and forth. And they went, all right, we'll do boxing. That's it. And I was really like, that's a shame because I'm in an MMA gym and I want to learn all of it. But I was like, all right, let's do it. And then I trained for like, I think it was 4 weeks or 3 weeks of just boxing. I did, I think originally first 2 weeks maybe of wrestling until they said that they want to do just boxing. So I did that. And then they pulled out and they didn't really give a very good reason. which at the time I was really upset about. Like I was like blood, sweat, tears. Like I was getting body shots like for nothing. You know what I mean? And I was like, this girl does like pull-ups for breakfast, man. Like how could you possibly pull out? You know what I mean? And at the time I was very angry about it. And I did actually, when she said like, you'll be fine, you'll get a Pona, I said, go fuck yourself. Yeah. Usually I'm way nicer than that, but like I actually was that angry. But now I look back and I'm like, look, the girl's probably got things going on in her life and she's a lot more private than I am because I'm a TikToker and she's not. Maybe she doesn't want the whole world knowing what's going on. So I was like, it is what it is. But it was very hard for me at the time and I felt lost. No opponent. People were like staring at me in the gym when everyone knew before me. Like everyone was looking at me funny and I was like, it's like someone had died. Like I walked in like, what's going on? You know what I mean?
Wait, so they found out before you did?
Everyone knew, yeah. Everyone knew that she'd pulled out.
Who broke the news?
Well, Billy, he's a TikToker. he was on live. I'm walking and I look around. Everyone's looking at me funny. And the coach didn't have time. He was like walking over to me to tell me. Billy goes, man, sorry about your opponent. And he was on live too. And I went, what? He goes, your opponent, she pulled out. Billy. Oh, I was like burning.
I can imagine.
I was like, what? He goes, I'm sorry, I thought you knew. And then my coach come running like,
yeah.
And he was like,
Billy, shut the fuck up, man.
He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, just pulled out. And I was like, why? And he was just like, I don't know, man. She just doesn't want to do it anymore. And he's like, but don't worry. He's like, stay ready. We will get you another opponent. I like went and sat on the couch. No one come near me. I just sat there like this. And I tried not to cry. Because the people in the gym knew how hard I was training, like how hard I was actually training.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 7 hours a day, 6 days a week, including sparring. Those are like very physically draining tolls.
Man, I was covered in bruises and
I bet
like blisters as well.
Especially when you're going up against people like Suman, Alex, fucking Fahoud, like these people that are just like they don't care. They don't care. They're going to push you to your limits because that's where you're going to get better.
100%.
And they've seen people come and go and come and go and come and go. So they're almost indifferent to it.
And that was the shit I was thinking about sitting on the couch. So like naturally that was really like horrible. And then we just went back and forth and then we had like this possible match and we found out that she was like way more experienced than she was saying that she was. So then that was out the window. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm just going to go home and punch on in the tent, honestly. So that's what I did. And I got out of my system and like, I thought I was going to be nervous, but I wasn't nervous. It was weird.
So you made your tent debut recently.
Yeah.
How did that go?
It was so fun.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it was weird because like when I walked in, like Dad was nervous. Dad was wrapping my hands and I'm trying not to smile. Like I'm actually trying not to smile.
Oh, yes, finally.
Yeah. And Dad's wrapping my hands and I looked at him. I was like, are you nervous? And he looked at me funny. He goes, of course I am. So should you be. And I was like, yeah. But like I walked out, I couldn't wipe a smile off my face. And like, obviously I didn't like, because they're more brawlers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like, it's like a different, but it's still a fight. Like that's a fight. You know what I mean? Like it was cool. But I thought I'd be scared and I wasn't. So I even said at gym yesterday, I was like, I'm really intrigued to see what I'm going to be like. Like, will I walk out shitting myself? Or am I going to walk out how I did in the tent? Because if I walk out like that, like I did in the tent, I'm sick.
Yeah.
Like
everyone has very different ways of managing those emotions. I mean, I know I've spoken to fighters that thrive when they're doing that walkout. And I mean, Mike Tyson said it most eloquently when he gets into the change room, he's a scared little boy and he's terrified and he doesn't know what's going on. But then he gets wrapped up and he gets his gloves on and he feels a little bit more confident. And then slowly as he walks towards the cage, he gets more and more ferocious and more confident and more powerful.
It's
and then he steps into the ring and he is a god.
That's exactly what he said. Yeah.
That is the most amazing way of describing that experience. The none other than the greatest of all time in Mike Tyson. I mean, wow.
Yeah, it's like that, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm intrigued to see it, like, because it's like this feeling inside you of just fun happiness, like you're going out. Like you're going out to a mad party or something. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's so weird. So I'm like, I'm intrigued because like obviously the tent fight it's still the same. It's a brawl and it's like there's a crowd and everything. And I was really like aware of the crowd and trying to make them laugh and stuff. Like I was aware of that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm wondering if that's how I'm going to be in this match because it's a bit different. It's like, you know, she's had 2 fights before, kickboxing and I think MMA. So she's had 1 win. So I'm like, I wonder if it'll be different, you know what I mean? Because it's so more technical, more like, but I honestly, like my coaches, they were like, I think you're going to walk out the same.
So is this fight that's coming up now, which is September 25th at Urban Fight Night, get your tickets, link will be in the description. Is this fight going for you to be boxing? Is it going to be mixed martial arts? Is it going to be Muay Thai? Like what style are we going with here?
We're going with boxing.
Boxing,
yeah,
right.
because she'll probably tap me out. She's pretty good at groundwork apparently.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that you understand your limits as well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm gonna jump out and do MMA when I know, like, how annoying would that be? Like, if you're a good striker and they take you down the first 30 seconds,
It happens.
in a rear choke. Oh, it happens.
If you watch any Khabib fight, if you watch any Islam Makhachev, if you watch any Dagestani fight, or any Russian fight, Eastern European fight, that's what they do.
It'd just be such a big, like, lead up.
Yeah.
And then, so we're like, let's just put on a fight.
Yeah.
So boxing this time, and then I'm gonna like wrestle as much as I can after this fight to get in and do MMA.
September 25th, you've got Emilee Della. It's going to be a huge fight. Big shout out to her for stepping in last minute.
Yeah,
I mean,
thank you.
That it really set you up to, firstly, just having a fight and being able to make the debut. And it makes all the work that you're putting into it worthwhile. There's something to show.
100%.
There's a portfolio of work that people can look back on and go, oh, wow, that TikToker really did that. I didn't expect to see that.
Yeah. Even just stepping in the ring, like Castro and Yusra, I'm proud of them, you know, and Billy, like they've worked so hard and everyone's seen it, like the dedication, you know what I mean? Like I need them to win as much as I want to win. That's how I feel about it.
And they're busy people. I mean, I saw Castro just opened up a sushi restaurant or something like that.
The guy opened a business mid-training. How did he do that? What the hell?
So,
he's got a sushi bar.
yeah, Castro's Sushi Bar. That's a very interesting venture to take on in the middle of a fight camp.
And his opponent pulled out.
Oh, really?
Castro's opponent pulled out.
Joey Curcio, right?
It's Joey. Yeah, Joey pulled out.
Yeah.
And then he got another opponent, which was Palestinian Warrior's little brother, and he pulled out just last week.
Wow.
So then we were like, what the hell? Like Castro's been training so hard as well, you know?
Yeah.
And his groundwork, like he's actually going to end up one day being really good. You know, he is good on the ground, so which is really cool, you know?
Yeah.
And like that was like, I was like, no way, come on. But we ended up getting him an even better anticipated match with O'Shane, who's a TikToker.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah. I think this is the tricky part that Urban's going to face with bringing in entertainers, bringing in TikTokers, is that they don't have as much to lose, in the sense that if an MMA fighter, someone who's trying to make it into the UFC, pulls out of a fight,
It looks bad.
it looks horrible, and no real legitimate organization is going to look at you professionally. Apologies, Bradley Shackleton. You can't do that 3 or 4 times, because then everyone's just going to go, oh, this guy's not reliable, he can't do it. But if you're not looking to hit those, you know, high lengths, those
You
heights
can't
of the
just
career.
pull out. You can't pull out. And even just...
It's a respect thing.
It's a big respect factor. Like the gym's doing so much for you and then you pull out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're training you up.
Yeah.
I don't know where they were, but like they had to be with someone.
How do you find the experience of training at Australian Top Team? I know we've touched on it a little bit before, but like this place really does leave you with some scars. Like, as I'm aware, you've got cauliflower ear right now because of your training there.
Yeah,
Can we
look at
see
this
it?
bad
Can we
boy.
pull it up?
Right now it needs to be drained. So once they drain that, it goes down, but it's still like, what the hell? Like this stuff happens after years. This happens after years, by the way. This doesn't usually happen so fast.
That is intense. That is well earned. Can I ask who gave it to you?
Okay, so I haven't told anyone in the gym who did it because they're like, who did it? I'm like, I don't want him to get bashed in sparring for it. You know what I mean? Because they're always like, anyone who fucking goes too hard, like go hard. Yeah, like they need to learn, but don't overdo it. You're right. So the guy that did it doesn't even know he did it.
Ah, I see.
Because I know he'll feel bad.
Right.
Yeah, so it was a kick.
That, thrown the key away.
Yeah, it was a kick initially. It wasn't instant. So I originally like it would have been from sparring all the time too, getting hit. I didn't know how to friggin' duck or like, you know, roll these punches. I was getting clipped everywhere, you know what I mean? Because I just went like dived right into sparring.
It doesn't look like you have though. Like you're still very, aside from the ear obviously, but like just your face. There's no black eyes. There's no scratches.
Oh, I've got
I look like I'm prepping. I've got
like a massive split in my lip right now.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I look like I'm prepping for a fight and I'm not.
Yeah, no, I've got like a split under my lip. Last week it was a bruise here from a split, but it's not really too bad. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you must. I
haven't copped a black eye or anything.
Ah.
No.
That's always fun when you get that first one.
This just went over time. Like this didn't just come out of nowhere. Like it was after the kick, it felt red and just a bit sore, and I was like, oh, that's like a burning sensation. And then I went into sparring and was just, you know, boxing, getting clipped a little bit when I'm trying to slip or whatever. And it was just clipping it, and then wrestling, just rubbing. Yeah. And over time, it just slowly just went boom, boom, boom. And then in sparring, I think it just, I don't know, after sparring, I just went, oh.
Yeah.
And then it was just, I went, oh, it's getting bigger, and then it just went boom. And then we had to drain it, and oh my, I'd rather get punched than drain my ear, man, honestly.
I've never had to have my ears drained. What was that? Like, what's the process for doing it? Yeah.
Like, you know how your ears just like, your ear's so already, like if you flick someone's ear, it hurts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Our ears are really like, I don't know, just very vulnerable little things. Imagine getting a needle and sticking it into your ear. And then on top of that, it being filled with blood and sore as hell before the needle goes in.
Jesus.
So painful. Like no one told me it was that painful. But so many people are angry. They're like jealous. Like they're like always like giving me banter. They're like, man, how did she get a cauliflower ear and not me? Like some guys want it.
Really?
Yeah, they like, cause it's like this.
I'm good. I'll avoid it.
I don't want this either. I was like, you can have it. No, it's an honor.
It affects your hearing. Like
yeah.
It really, if you get enough cauliflower ear, it actually, like think about it, it is just an apparatus where sound waves go in. And if it's like,
I know. Sorry, what was that?
And so if it's inflated, you're just going to fuck up your ability
But
to
as
hear.
fighters, like people instantly know that you can fight or you've been through it. Like if you've got a cauliflower ear, so these guys are like wanting it so bad.
Yes.
And then I've gone and gotten one, and they're like, "How the fuck does that work?"
I don't know.
But as a female,
like that's like, come on, man.
No, the whole gym wants it. It's an honor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't subscribe. Maybe because I'm a podcaster and I value my ears so much.
Yeah,
like if I can't hear, then that's a real problem.
It means like you've been wrestling and fighting for a long time.
Yeah.
That's why they were like, how the hell did she get this? And I was like, well, I did throw myself around for the last 3 months, but it's obviously nowhere near. Like these guys have fought like 7 fights and still don't have cauliflower ears. So it's just weird. But like as a female, I don't want cauliflower ears.
Yeah.
Like I'm like into like entertainment and modeling and shit like that. I'm
and
like,
pink skirts in the middle of country towns.
How the hell do I? My mom was so mad. She was burning over it.
How was that transition out of like, you know, country Queensland to, you know, the city life in New South Wales? Like,
so
it must
different.
have been such a massive culture shock.
Such a massive culture shock. Like I don't even know where to begin. Like we got Hungry Jack's like maybe like 3 or 4 years ago in my hometown.
Whoa,
yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, like my hometown's small. I'm related to half the town. It's just a small, rough country town, but just hearts of gold. Like everyone's just genuine people that want everyone to be like good. You know what I mean? Like, whereas here, everyone's like every man for themselves, which was really hard for me to get used to, and I'm still not used to that.
Yeah. Sydney is very much a melting pot of a lot of different cultures, and so
a lot of ego.
For sure.
Yeah, very every man for themselves.
So you get like different communities that all stick together, and the Asians are in Cabra and the Arabs are in Bankstown and South Americans are were in Fairfield, and it's these weird like subcultures that are built within it, and that almost represents the tribes or the small towns, if you will.
Which is just so, I realized that the suburbs were the representation of my town.
Yeah, and so I think, you know, for the most part, people are friendly and nice, but there is definitely, like, I'm just staying in my lane. I'm here to do my thing. And you don't really see that in any other part of Australia that I've noticed. I mean, I've been to Melbourne, I've been to Queensland, I've been to South Australia. And
there's no code repping, like.
No.
Like, in my hometown, it's family repping, like family name.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very big on families. Whose family is that? And they look like they're from that family kind of thing.
Does race play a lot into that as well?
Yeah. Being Indigenous, like being Aboriginal, you're big on like your family last name and obviously your tribe.
Yeah. Have you ever felt that you were perhaps ostracized or perceived differently because of your Indigenous heritage?
Yes and no. Like probably one of the most common things I deal with is them saying that I can't be Aboriginal or they didn't expect me to be Aboriginal, or you're too pretty to be Aboriginal. Like those things, they say that and they don't, it's hard to explain. It's like, I grew up where my tribe originated from. I've got a massive family, you know what I mean? And like, if you were to marry me, my side's going to be black, you know what I mean? But like when they say it to me, all they see is this. They don't realize it actually upsets me because that's who I am.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So it is hard sometimes. Yeah, like I've had little comments like on my like TikTok being like, oh, you're like 1% Aboriginal, or they'll be like Abo, or they'll be like, oh, like go and sniff some, you know, petrol, or the most common thing that most people will say just casually to me is, oh, does that mean you get a lot of benefits?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they don't even mean it in a rude way. That's the worst part. They don't realize that it's offensive.
They're kind of like, oh, wow, like, does that mean, like, it's a win, but that's
very bad. Very bad.
That's such a, like, derogatory, undercutting thing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Like, I grew up so strongly in my, like, heritage in my family, you know what I mean?
What do you think needs to happen to get more Indigenous representation into the mainstream and reduce the effect of that stereotypical perspective that people...
that's what I do. I keep it classy as hell, and I make sure everyone knows my nationality so that because I'm that face of it, you know, they see that, they see me, and that's the nationality I am, and I'm hoping that it changes their idea.
I see. I see. Well, you're doing it with immense professionalism and with immense class, and you should, you know, really pat yourself on the back for that one, because it's not an easy thing to do, for sure. I think it's very easy for people to get caught up in the identity politics and the agendas that come with each race, and I think to break that mold in the way that you're doing so is very impactful for a lot of Indigenous, especially Indigenous women that are feeling perhaps more ostracized. Yeah,
100%. We're a lot more reserved, a lot more conservative, and we really like stick, you know, out of that kind of spotlight. Whereas I'm very out there, and I don't know if that's because I grew up with a showman tent, you know what I mean? So maybe that just molded me a little bit into being so out there.
How has your family reacted to the news of you getting your first amateur fight?
Honestly, like, not like other families, because they're so used to that whole vibe, you know what I mean? They're just kind of like, all right, like, if that's what you want to do, you know what I mean?
But you did mention earlier that, you know, growing up, in particular, was your parents wouldn't let you fight. They wouldn't let you participate because they didn't want to see you get hurt. Now
it's like she's a grown adult and she's like already said yes, you know what I mean? It wasn't like I called and was like, can I please? I just went, I'm fighting. And then Dad said, all right, well, what's your name going to be? And Mum was kind of like, what? So Dad was like, obviously it's got to be Mauler because we're the Mauler family. And he's like, we just got to think of something. And he's like, Miss Mauler. I'm like, done. But Mum's sitting there like, oh, this is just ridiculous. But I think they don't think I'm going to pursue it. You know what I mean? I think they think I'm just going to jump in for a go, have some fun, and then that's it. That's what they're thinking.
Are you going to pursue it?
I want to, yeah.
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 So we'll see. Like, I want to, and I think my family going to be like, if I do well, they're going to be like, oh, what the hell? I'm like, so now what? You know what I mean? Because they're so used to my brothers fighting. I think they just think I'm going to do it for fun. But I couldn't think of anything else to do, honestly, with my spare time. I may as well do this.
Do you think they'll make the trip out to come watch?
My brother wanted to, but because the fight got changed, he can't get time off anymore.
Ah, no. That's such a shame.
Yep.
I guess they'll have to stream it live on Fight TV.
Yeah, my parents have never come. They're actually coming next month. So they've never even come to Sydney. So, but I said to him, don't worry about it. Like, there'll be other times. And she was like, huh?
Are you like an avid like MMA fan? Like, do you watch the UFC?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I used to try and drag girls to come watch the UFC with me all the time.
Yeah.
Or boxing, and they'd just sit with me at a random pub like.
Who were like some foundational fighters that really inspired you to pursue this career? Like, you know, everyone's kind of got a Nate Diaz or a Conor McGregor or a Khabib or a Holly. Like who?
Holly Holmes, yeah. Nate Diaz. To be honest, I really just like respected all of them. You know what I mean? Like, I never had a proper favorite. Like, yeah, Nate Diaz and Holly Holmes, all like just like anyone, are all the best.
Ronda
you know what
Rousey.
I mean? Yeah. Like, she wasn't always. Her and Conor haven't really been like my main like thing, but I respect them as fighters. You know, I always look up to every single fighter, especially coming from watching fighters in a tent. So I've never really had like proper favorites. I've always just watched them and in awe of all of them. Like, yeah.
Have you developed a trash talk game yet? That is a big part of promoting fights.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, Conor McGregor gets there and he puts his feet on the table and he starts throwing water bottles at people. And he goes, who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah.
You know, and Jake Paul makes Instagram reels that blow up and get 10 million views calling Conor McGregor out for cheating on his wife.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
You know, Jorge Masvidal, you know, roast the shit out of Ben Askren after he knocks him out with the most vicious flying knee of all time.
I don't know. I'm just like the only thing I've thought about so far is, do I need to wear undies in the weigh-ins? Because I don't want to do that. Like, I haven't thought that far. Like, I'm just stressing about that and what my walkout song
But I
is.
think you're an interesting spot because you are an entertainer and you know how to engage people and you know how to keep them interested. So I think there's a real power in differentiating yourself as someone who can talk shit.
I did, like, in the tent, like, I tried to entertain people. Like, when I realized, like, the crowd was kind of going, oh, okay, now it looks like she's kind of bashing her a little bit, then I'd, like, you know, put my hand behind my back and fight with one hand, you know? And then they'd be like, oh, and I'm like, okay, we got him going again, you know? Or, like, when she fell over, I, like, I just started, like, dancing a little bit and everyone was kind of like, oh, ha, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't know if I'd even... because I want to respect my fighter as well because it's an amateur fight. Like, I don't even know if I'll be able to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But say that actually, like, I actually feel so comfortable to be able to do something like that, I'm going to do it.
I think fighters, pardon me.
That's not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to fight her with one hand. You know what I mean? But like,
I mean, who knows?
no, but like, if there's going to be a time in the ring where I can be entertaining and get the crowd going, I probably will because I've done it.
I think fighters can understand that the industry has moved so far beyond just the technical skills of being able to fight, and it is also a communication skill. You need to be technically strong enough to defend yourself and be prominent, but you also have to be able to provide the performance that matches that.
Yeah.
And if you don't have both, then you might be a 10 technically, but if you're only a 3 in your communication skills, people are only ever going to perceive you as a 3.
And that's the thing with fighters people don't realize. Like, you can have like one of the best fighters in Australia and no one knows who they are.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or you can have like, you know, just there's no attention on it, you know, which is true. Like, so being an entertainer already and already being known before going in is like a really massive, like I'm lucky for that, you know what I mean? And then obviously I just need to, like, I think I need to just get the fight out of the way first before I think about trying to be entertaining in the ring, you know what I mean?
Yep,
because I got to respect the fact that Like, she's going to be a hard fight, and I'm not going to be able to maybe smile even in my match. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, it might come like post-fight. It might come in the content that follows up. You know, you can't. There is a way of doing it and still being respectful, but showing that you were the more dominant one on the night.
Well, for me, I'm like, someone's like, you're going to knock her out. I'm like, I don't know, man. I've never been there before. And they were all laughing like, yeah, true.
You know who's very good at it? Gordon Ryan. Do you know who Gordon Ryan is?
Sounds familiar.
He's one of the premier world-class jiu-jitsu experts. He rolls in no-gi, and I think he's at like 57 undefeated matches now, which just doesn't happen in jiu-jitsu.
That's crazy.
It just doesn't happen. And he's gotten to the point now where he's writing on cards and saying triangle submission, folding it up, giving it to someone.
Oh my gosh.
We'll go and get the triangle submission and then open it up and go, told you so.
Oh.
Yeah.
As the other person, wow.
Yeah, right? And so that's what I'm saying. Like, there is ways of talking shit and putting yourself out there and being entertaining without necessarily being disrespectful.
I think if I was to fight again and more often, I will end up being a very entertaining person.
I think so as well.
Yeah, like truly.
Yeah.
But this match, it's like my first time, you know what I mean? So I think I'll be more trying to get used to like everything, like the crowd and like, what am I even meant to do? I was even like, on the drive here, I was like, is there a shower for me after? Like, where do I do my makeup? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like all that sort of stuff, like I don't even know, you know, like I just want to get through this fight, get comfortable being in the ring, because like some people have like been some of the best fighters and then they buckle in the ring because of the pressure of the crowd and everything. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I'm like, I just want to get in, like have that experience so that I can go back to Australian top team and go, all right, now I know what to expect, drawing board, and then I can start to get a little bit more
find your own
confident in
your rhythm.
The rhythm and that entertaining side of it. But you never know, like maybe I could still push out a little bit of an entertainment.
I'm sure it's in there. It'll come out.
I think it's just naturally in me. Yeah.
How are you going weight-wise?
I think I've got like a kilo to lose.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's it? Mm-hmm. Oh, so you're cruising.
Yeah. Sweet.
You're just walking around. That's such an advantage. I'm such a big proponent of fighting at your natural weight. I interviewed a guy named Caleb Rideout, and he's an MMA fighter. He's competed on an Urban Fight Night before, but he's moved on to go to an Eternal on an exclusive contract. And he recently became I wish I could remember his weight class. I want to say welterweight, but I'm not, maybe featherweight. I'm not sure. But he's become the champion of Eternal, and he was up against this tall, like, scary motherfucker who was twice his size. But because Caleb fights at his natural weight and he doesn't cut weight, you can see that he's
sweet, yeah.
In the cage, he is so just energized and fresh.
Well, I had 2 kilos, but that's like nothing.
That's
like
nothing.
You said, it's not 5.
You could go in a sauna and lose a kilo in 30 minutes.
I'm laughing, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm such a like firm believer in either bringing everyone up in weight classes so that they can fight healthier. Or just reducing the ability to cut weight. Like you have to take hydration tests.
Well, even like with cutting weight, like they're so much more advanced now. Like I remember like 6 years ago, like my brother and my ex both like cutting, like more my ex because he was a lot heavier, cutting like overnight, like 5 kilos, like going for runs in like bags, you know what I mean, to like lose weight in saunas, shadowboxing and stuff, and just not eating.
Yeah. And
that's so bad for you. And these fighters were doing this for so long, up until only recently they've learned how to cut weight in a healthy way.
Yeah, I think it's a paradox of a statement, cutting weight healthily, like just dehydration is never healthy. But sure, there's definitely ways of reducing risk. I'd agree with you on that. There's a massive advantage to that, and I think you've kind of laid a very strong foundation in the fight game to propel yourself and give you the highest likelihood of success. Our camera keeps dying and it's getting really annoying now. So we're going to have to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Soraya, thank you very much for jumping on.
Thank you
for
having
people
me.
want to watch the fight, if they want to check you out on TikTok, if they want to just hang out, how do they do so?
So TikTok, you can follow me. It's s.soraya, so ESS.SORAYA. Instagram's the same as my TikTok username. If you want to watch the fight, you can watch it on Fight TV, FITE, or you can go to Urban Fight Night on Instagram and go to the link.
Beautiful.